What's up, guys? It's the DJ Sports Podcast. My name is David Stark.
And I'm Justin Morgan.
And we're two guys who have perfect faces for podcasting.
Today we're going to be looking at the world of sports, covering the biggest topics, including
Tiger Woods' big win this weekend.
The biggest stories in the NFL of Week 4.
The MLB and how the American League playoff picture is so set it's not even funny.
And the NHL preseason with the regular season right around the corner.
So, Justin, man, what the heck happened with the PGA this weekend?
Well, Tiger's back, man. I don't know what else to say. It's been 1,876 days since Tiger's won a golf tournament. I know Marvel's put out 3 movies since then. There was the 28-3 Super Bowl comeback. There's been a whole whack ton of things that happened in that time.
Man,
it's the 80th of his career, first since 2013.
Man, in 2013, I was in grade 11 in high school. Holy Dinah! Yeah, I mean, it's incredible what he was able to go through and then come back from. At the end of the day, that's the best way to look at it.
It really is. Like, if you actually think about it, and don't get me wrong, there's Tiger fans out there. Well, fans, and then people who will never agree with what he did, and that's a whole nother debate. But to come back from what he went through with his family, his injuries. It sparks a lot of debates, between some of the greatest athlete comebacks ever. You got to respect the guy for coming back, especially with the Ryder Cup this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how he carries that momentum going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what he's done this past year. He's been on a steady climb, and I mean, does it make the case for it being the best comeback ever? Is he the greatest golfer / is he the greatest athlete ever?
So he's 2 back from Sam Snead. He's 2 tournament wins back from Sam Snead, who's at 82. And 2018 is now in the books with the FedEx Cup, obviously wrapping up. And looking to 2019, he's got if he remains healthy, he's got a chance to obviously catch Sam Snead. In terms of your question, is he the greatest golfer ever? I think so. I think he's going to pass Sam Snead when all's said and done in tournament wins. And is that the best way to look at the greatest golfer? In my opinion, it is. So it'll be big 2019 for Tiger if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you look at the late 90s and the early 2000s, guys were playing for second place against him. I don't think it's ever been seen in the world of sport where someone dominated their particular sport, as well as he did in his prime.
Here, I think this is a good area to discuss as well, and a little off script here, but what's your opinion on why do all of these people, including, I'm sure yourself and myself, why do we cheer for Tiger Woods on this comeback, knowing that he went through all those things? And like I was saying, there's people who will never like Tiger for what he once was. But why do you think us as golf fans are cheering for this guy on a comeback? What do you feel that reason is?
It's the way you got to look at everything in life. Everyone loves the underdog. It doesn't matter whether it's the Patriots being up on the Falcons by 24 points at half. It's like everyone loves a good comeback story. It's unfortunate because you see great ones fall, and whether they come back up again and is another story. But it's basic psychological standing, I guess, the way people interpret these things and how they feel as though it's going to be. It makes for a good story, and people love a good story.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and especially with the older demographic watching golf these days. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of young fans, but it is an older sport compared to the other big four, and that demographic, that age group, went through Tiger in his prime and will always be Tiger fans. Always will be hooked on Tiger. That red shirt on Sunday, it'll always be something that sticks out in their head. So I definitely agree with you in that regard.
Yeah, and you look at the way there was thousands of fans walking up that 18th hole is something that's insane. Never been seen. It's never been seen in golf. That's something that you see on an NFL, NCAA football stage. You don't see that on a golf course. And it's amazing for the sport of golf to try and bring that excitement back to it in a certainly declining sport, to say the least.
That's where I was going to go with that. I absolutely loved that 18th green rush of people behind him. The announcers were saying Tiger was getting a kick out of it, so that's good to see the actual golfers are having some fun with it. But even beyond that, like I know we're getting off of Tiger Woods and his win, but the Waste Management Open out in Arizona with the caddies running down that par three, I guess a fairway there, racing to the green, or the crowd can be as loud as they want on that hole, or in the Canadian Open right there in Oakville, with the boards on that a par three as well. I love to see that kind of stuff. It's what golf needs in the near future to, like we've kind of touched on, go after that younger demographic, kind of shift towards them as the older people get older.
Yeah, and they've made a couple changes last. What was it? Just recently, they had a couple of changes that make the game, that speed up the game. It turn a 4.5 hour round into a 4 or 3.5 hour round. It's ways that hopefully they're looking and noticing the trend and the downward trend that is of golf, and hopefully it'll spark an interest back into it. You wonder.
Yeah, and on my last point on golf before I guess we move on here is the guys just get bigger and stronger, right? These guys are hitting the ball farther than ever before. Yes, it's how they train, but it's also technology with clubs, balls, and whatnot. So in terms of speeding the game up, it's definitely going to happen when guys are hitting the ball 350 yards, 380 yards on a downhill fairway, right?
That whole technology is a whole nother boat. I can't even begin to describe how it's tough looking at stats when you look at a football player, and this is lead into our next point, but a football player can only run so fast and cleats can only help you so much, whereas in golf you're gaining 5, 10, 15 yards every couple of years based on technology, right? Is it going to be really good for the game, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it has the most innovation almost in a way across, I'm trying to think, I guess, all the sports, but with innovation and relying on technology, it's definitely up there in terms of the biggest. I guess we should shift to football, which is my favorite sport to talk about here on the podcast. So what a week it was. Week 3, I guess, in the NFL. Patriots are 1-2. We got to start there. Who saw that coming? Dave, I don't know what your hot takes are on the NFL after week 3, but it's specific.
Man, yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. I feel like the Patriots always come out of the gate. They're either flying or what was it last year? A couple of years ago, they were slow out of the gate too. Whether they're just scraping by wins, they always seem to do what it takes. It's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, though. At the end of the day, I don't think I can ever bet against the two of them in combination when you've got a guy like Gronkowski to throw to, and it's two of the greatest that have played in those both positions, in all 3 positions: coach, tight end, and quarterback.
Yeah, and then you got Julian Edelman coming off his suspension, who will be back in the near future, so adding another weapon to Tom Brady's arsenal. I know they only had, I believe, 3 receivers actually on the roster for their game this past weekend, which is absolutely unheard of. But I guess that's kind of what happens when you have, like you said, a tight end in Rob Gronkowski, and then pass-catching running backs in Dion Lewis, and then the 3-headed monster back there with Rex Burkhead as well. I'm going to shift to the Minnesota Vikings. What the hell was that? I think they closed at 18.5-point favorites over the Buffalo Bills at home. The Bills look like an absolute mess. They throw Josh Allen in there, the Wyoming quarterback. He absolutely lights it up. The Bills win by, I don't even know, what did they win by there?
It was like 27 points or something.
Yeah, they won 27-6, so they won by 21 points. And I believe I read on Twitter it was one of the biggest upsets in NFL history in terms of the spread in the other way. So just bridging that into week 4, the Minnesota Vikings now have a short week. They play on Thursday night at the Los Angeles Rams, where the Minnesota Vikings, who were a top, a Super Bowl contender that looked like this year, are now 1-1-1 with the 2 ties we've seen so far this year. Against an LA Rams team who's 3-0, and they have to play in the Coliseum. I don't know what Thursday's going to be. A fun one. I think the Vikings have to win.
You gotta look at it. If you go down 1-2-1 here, 4 games in, the Vikings start looking at it and trying to see what they're going to do. But that you need a bounce back win. It's going to be a tough one against the Rams of all teams. That's a bad bounce to be playing them in the 4th week after a shaky start. But if you got a guy like Stefan Diggs you're throwing to, you can make plays happen, right?
He's one of the best route runners in the league. He can burn anyone, man. He's crazy.
He's got that sort of Tyreek Hill speed with him, and he's got that competitive edge. I mean, you look at him last year in the playoffs. He wants it, right? Yeah. And I feel like those type of guys, they find a way to do it, right?
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? Kirk Cousins has been around the block. Obviously, it's a new team for him, and he's a fresh new contract as well. But he's been around the block. He knows what's happening with a 1-1-1 team. He knows it's super early in the season. What I will add though is they are in one of the toughest divisions in football. You have Aaron Rodgers, the Bears, who are playing phenomenal defense right now with obviously Khalil Mack, and a young quarterback.
Yeah, the defense is Khalil Mack. Let's just clarify.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone listening has heard the facts of the Raiders defense versus Khalil Mack alone. With the sacks and the interceptions.
But John Gruden can't find a good pass rusher. Don't worry.
No, he was willing to let that guy walk. So whatever. Yeah. So anyway, so that division consists of the Bears, Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers. Obviously the Vikings, and then the Lions. And you can't really count out the Lions in my opinion. They just manhandled the Patriots for their first win of the year. So
how about that of all things too though?
Yeah.
Like Detroit was. I mean, those first two games, I don't know what your thoughts are, but holy Dinah, they were weak.
Yeah, they were
I didn't see a lot of positives coming from that team.
No,
and they came out and stunned the Patriots.
Yeah, no, they got absolutely shellacked by the Jets in Week 1, 48-17. That Darnold kid out of USC, lit them up for 48. Then a tight loss to the 49ers, which, I don't know, in my opinion, it was a winnable game. And then they absolutely slapped the Patriots. I did not see it coming. I thought they'd be 0-3, but it's good for them. That's what I mean. The division's going to be a tight division.
I mean, we're talking about things we didn't see in the first couple of weeks. Do you see Fitz magic happening?
Oh my God, man! Who the hell saw that guy with that ugly beard? I think he's a Harvard graduate, by the way.
Smart guy.
Yeah, throwing for 400 yards or more 3 weeks in a row on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where I thought they had an abysmal offensive line. I didn't even know he had that much time to throw in the pocket, but honestly, good for him. I don't know. Yeah, I'm speechless.
That Mike Evans, I mean, he's a solid receiver, but you look outside of that, they got Barber at a running back position that's, is he a top 15 running back in the league right now?
He's, like I said, that offensive line, they have Jensen at center, the former Baltimore Ravens, shadow Baltimore Ravens. They've been clearing the path for the running back. They also have Deshaun Jackson at wideout, though. You can't really forget to mention his name. He's an absolute speedster. Back-to-back 75-yard touchdowns in 2 straight weeks, Week 1 and Week 2. The guy can blow by any corner in the league, and he's usually there before the safety can help. So he's a guy to keep an eye on for the Bucs, definitely in the future.
So who do you start Week 4? You go. I mean, it's not like Fitzmagic was perfect. How many interceptions did he throw? 3 or 4 this week? Just past. Like, who do you start? You got Jameis Winston, who's coming off. I mean, he was there. It wasn't even a question when at the start of the season. Once he returned from injury, he was starting to play. But who do you slot in there now?
So the ESPN crew Monday night was saying that Jameis Winston will be at the facility Tuesday morning at 5 in the morning, which is his first, or 5:45 in the morning, which is when he's eligible to join the team again after a suspension for the alleged groping of an Uber driver. Back in 2016, we should note this wasn't recent. But anyway, so yes, Fitzpatrick threw 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And moving on to Week 4, I think you have to stick with Fitzpatrick. Jameis Winston hasn't thrown a football. He hasn't played football with the team yet this season. I guess since the preseason. You got to go with the guy who's got you to where you are. They're 2-1 in a tough NFC South with a bunch of teams that can put up a lot of points in the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. You got to stick with the guy that's, like I said, he's thrown for 400 yards 3 straight games.
You can't take out a guy with a hot hand like that.
No.
I mean, you're going to be changing up your receivers. The one thing you got to also, I'm bringing it back to basketball here, but if you got a guy who's playing hot for 3 straight quarters, are you going to pull him out in the 4th quarter because you've got your ringer? No, the guy's hitting threes. You're going to let him keep shooting, right?
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that they play the Bears next week, so it will be a good test for Fitzpatrick.
For
obviously,
sure.
like we mentioned, that defense. It is on the road as well. It is in Chicago, so it'll be a good test to see. Winston might be licking his chops for Khalil Mack to get in there and get a couple licks so he can get back on the playing field.
Yeah.
But,
and it's a good way. It'll be a good test one way or another, and it'll be dictating who's playing the rest of the year. I feel like that this weekend.
Yeah.
And I mean, we gotta also talk about Pat Mahomes here. Is he gonna just keep rolling out 3-4 touchdowns a game, throwing a couple hundred yards? And I mean, he's got the offense that can do it.
Yeah. If anyone listening doesn't know the name, know Patrick Mahomes. The kid's out of Texas Tech. He threw 88 pass attempts at a game in Texas Tech for over 700 yards in a single game. It was against Oklahoma, against Baker Mayfield at the time. So in the NFL, he has what is it here? I believe we have it in our notes here.
13 touchdowns, 3 games.
13 touchdowns in 3 games. In that Week 2 game, he threw for 6 touchdowns. This is a rookie, by the way. So yeah, if you don't know the name, know Patrick Mahomes. And to answer your question, yes, I believe he can continue this. He has the arm strength. He looks like he has that wherewithal in the pocket. He's got young legs, like I mentioned. He's a rookie. And he's got the weapons, though. He's got the weapons. He's got the offensive line. He's got Travis Kelce. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Kareem Hunt. The list goes on. And then they have a sturdy defense on the back end as well.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned those 3 guys on offense. That's a pretty ugly triangle either way you look at it. You got Kareem Hunt coming at you, rolling downfield. You got Tyreek Hill, who no one can catch, and Kelce, who's been solid. This is his 3rd year now, where he's been just such a reliable tight end that you can throw to, and you know he's coming down with it.
He could be in the NBA. That is his. He can get up there, and it's like rebounding a ball to him. He's a freak of nature, man.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Time will tell. That's the best way we can put it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think we should shift to Major League Baseball. So the American League playoff picture is set, like you said, right out of the start of the gates of the show. The Yankees and A's are going to play in the wild card game as it stands right now. That's an absolutely incredible matchup. The A's are shocking people right now. First playoff appearance in, I know, a while. And then we got to talk about the Red Sox, actually, before I get into that game. I'll let you discuss the Red Sox.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you guys don't know, they just got their 106th win last night, franchise record for. I mean, in any sport, any Big Four league, any sport in general, for that matter, when you tie a franchise record for an organization like a Red Sox, that's someone that's been around for that long, with putting up that many numbers, it's something that people forget about how special this is right now, and what they got. How many games left? 15 games left in their season.
Around there. Yep.
I mean, even if they win out 50% of those, they're gonna end up finishing at 115 wins. It's unheard of.
And I think you touched on it while we were just talking briefly off the air. It's one of the oldest sports organizations ever heard of. It's one of the oldest sports teams in Big Four sports leagues. This team's been around forever, and to set a franchise record in wins, through the steroid era, through the time when there was less teams in the league. We have 30 teams in this league, and obviously crazy drug tests and whatnot. There's not room for any of that stuff. And like you said, 106 wins. It's worth noting on this show, and absolutely unheard of, man.
Yeah, it's
shout out to the Red Sox and John Farrell.
Yeah, John Farrell, former,
Alex Cora is what I meant to say, John Farrell, but yeah, he's a little washed now.
That's all right. Shout out to John Farrell, too, former Blue Jays GM,
Yeah,
but, I mean, you look at also Boston, but are they going to run away with it? You got a team like the A's, you got a team like the Yankees. The Yankees are going to win 100 games this year, probably. They're no team to snub their nose at, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Back to that AL wildcard game. If it does remain Yankees-A's, you throw out Luis Severino. That guy blows 100+ on the gun anytime he wants. And as a starter, this guy's not a late bullpen guy. This is a starter. He's got dominant stuff at the low of the zone, bottom of the zone. Fastball is just wicked. So I don't know. I'm excited. I can't wait for October. I just can't wait for October baseball, man.
It's an exciting time to be a baseball fan in general. I mean, fortunate enough to be going down to California in a couple weeks. I'm gonna be doing my best to catch a Dodgers game, hoping, I'm knock on wood, that they make it in. But it's something special, man.
Yeah, we can shift there to the National League side of things. So as it stands right now, the Dodgers are actually in the top of the NL West, but the Colorado Rockies are right there, knocking on the door.
They won't go away. It's
No.
incredible. They're a solid team, and you look at them. They're by no means do they have the payroll like the Yankees, the Red Sox, or the Dodgers for that matter, even. But they're getting W's. They're just like the A's. I just love the A's just based on how they have no one that's a standout, but the Rockies, I feel like, are just maybe one notch above that as far as what they got. Nolan Arenado, and I mean, who else?
No,
right?
they're loaded, man. They're loaded across the board. Where I see their weakness, honestly, is the starting pitching. And yes, you can blame it on Coors Field with the amplified numbers, but I think where the Dodgers have them is starting pitching. There's not a Clayton Kershaw to fall back on. They have guys like Kyle Freeland, John Gray, and then Chad Bettis, but like it's nothing touching the Dodgers. Kershaw, Ryu, all those young guys as well. I think the Dodgers take the West.
Yeah,
I think the Dodgers take the West, and I think the Colorado Rockies, who are currently a half game out of the wild card behind the St. Louis Cardinals and Milwaukee Brewers, I think it remains like that. And I hope to be wrong, because honestly I'm a Rockies fan. I love watching balls fly out of that park all the time, but I think it'll remain as it is, and we get a good wild card game in Milwaukee and St. Louis.
So, do the Red Sox win the World Series? Or
let's do that quick before we shift sports.
Do we see someone come out and win this?
I'll let you go first. You make your picks. You make your World Series picks, and then pick a winner. Like matchup and then win.
Oh man, I would love to see a Dodgers Yankees or a Dodgers Red Sox finals. The way this Boston Red Sox season is going, it's tough to turn down the history. And I mean, I saw on Instagram yesterday. There was someone saying they were cruising right to the World Series, and I mean, they haven't even won a playoff game yet.
Yeah,
that's a big prediction to make. Big statement. You know what? I see Dodgers Yankees. I look at that Stanton and Judge combo. You can't. Those guys are gonna hit some bombs, man.
I like it. Yeah, in playoff time, the long ball makes a difference in playoff time as well.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with a sleeper and say the Yankees are gonna come out. They're gonna surprise the Red Sox.
All right, I like that. Just to be different, I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Indians to roll to the American League Championship before they take on the. I'll go with the. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cubs. I say we see the Cubs there again against the Cleveland Indians. And I think the actual Cleveland Indians, the Cleveland Indians take it home this year. That's my prediction.
Yeah, the former Blue Jays and Josh Donaldson and Edwin Encarnacion finally get some revenge and get a W there.
That's what I'm going to roll with.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Should we shift to our, hour, and then maybe I might jump into some football if we have some time, some college ball. But let's go to hockey.
Yeah, no, go on your little rant here. Justin loves his NCAA football, so I gotta hear. This is as much time for me to be educated on football as everyone else listening to all your podcasters. So let's hear it, Justin.
All right. So we're going into week 5 in college football. It's been a whirlwind of upsets, shifts in the rankings. This week, though, I think we have some of the best games of the whole season. We got Ohio State at Penn State. That's 4 versus 9 in the top 25. We have West Virginia at Texas Tech, 12 at 25. Texas at Kansas State, I think, looks really promising. Texas is a 9-point favorite, but I think Kansas State is a stingy offense that they can whip the ball around the field. But then looking at last week, I think we got to look at Oklahoma needing overtime against Army. Oklahoma, at the time, the 5th seed in the country, took Army to overtime, and honestly, they could have lost that game, which I was kind of hoping they would, just because being at LSU would have been big for the rankings. But Alabama, you got to start there. I think they've been absolutely rolling teams. They had Texas A&M last week, who definitely they're probably biggest threat so far in the season. Absolutely embarrassed them, 45-23. Jimbo Fisher in his new job at Texas A&M looked pretty much helpless against that Alabama defense. What else? What else can we highlight here? Yeah, Ohio State though, absolutely insane. I think they roll past Penn State this week. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I see a good close game. It's a high total. Both offenses can score, but that Ohio State defense is something else. Trace McSorley will be in for some pressure as the Penn State quarterback. But yeah, there's a good slate of games this week. Like I mentioned, I think I mentioned the biggest ones. There's I think one more. Oh yeah, the night game. Stanford at Notre Dame is definitely worth the watch. And then Oregon, California, if you're looking for some late night football. All ranked opponents, all ranked teams. Yeah, it's going to be a good slate of games. But yeah, I'm down. Yeah, I'm down to shift to. Okay, sorry, what were you going to say?
It's an exciting time to be a sports fan. I mean, I look at that, and we're talking. We got everything going on right now. The NHL's around the corner. I mean, that's what we're going to touch on next. But golf's exciting. It's wrapping up. Football's just flying. The MLB, it's a great time to be a sports fan. You can't even. Yeah. There's no other way to put it. That end of August, early September can be a little dry, and then it just ramps up right here, end of September. It's a great time. And let's touch on NHL now. I mean, we got a week and a bit left in the preseason, but. What are you looking at? What teams do you like? What teams do you don't like?
We got to start with the biased area side, or the biased side of things. Sorry, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Vegas has them as Cup favorites. Obviously that's never been a thing since I was alive or you were alive. John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Nylander, Marner. The list goes on. They're a little weak on the back end, but they're a legit threat this year, and that's maybe I'm biased. They're a legit threat. The depth down the middle, Dave, is insane. And I'll let you go off that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Their offense is bar none a top three in the league, and I say that confidently as a Vancouver Canucks fan. But you look at it. Are you gonna? Kyle Dubas said it a couple weeks ago. He said, the team that scores the most goals is gonna win the game. But are you gonna be able to score more goals than your opponent as the Leafs
with that defensive
defense that you have? And yeah. I mean, the other thing you got to look at is Freddie Anderson going to have another standout, top 10 goalie in the league season?
Yeah, it's a good point. Obviously, I hope so. I think fingers crossed. I know he's right in that prime of his career as well. I know a lot of rankings, websites and things like that on television. They have Freddie Anderson as a top 5, top 10 goaltender, and goaltending is a touchy subject just because it feels like it changes every year. Like guys fall off the map and guys come out of nowhere. So I think, like you said, will he be able to keep that sort of consistent? It's a good question heading into the regular season, which is next week.
Yeah, and as a goalie, I'm myself and a goalie, and when you get a guy who's facing, hundreds of shots more than the next closest goalie in the league, it begs to, you got to ask that question: is a guy going to be able to maintain that level for 70 games, right? Because they're asking a lot out of him. Mike Babcock is an exceptional coach, and he's going to do great things with this team. But I'm interested to see whether Freddie's the guy that can bring them to a cup. Certainly if he plays the way he did last year, and if that offense produces the way they can and they should, I think they got a legitimate shot for sure.
All right, quickly here, just because we're a little short on time. Let's do some picks here. Let's do 3 teams in the East, 3 teams in the West. That just to keep an eye on this year. Maybe not to be your top 3, but just to keep an eye on who might slip into the playoffs that no one else thinks so or whatnot. And then let's give me your Stanley Cup matchup and maybe a winner if you're feeling it.
All right. Well, I can't turn down Leafs are a top 3 team in the East. That's no question. Whether they're a number 1 team, that's yet to be determined. I think you'd be crazy to not look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, they have an older core, but you've got Sidney Crosby on the team. And I mean, your second fiddle is Evgeny Malkin, who's a top 10 player in the NHL. That's just insane again. And if Matt Murray plays well, that's the other question. He's got to be good. And then my final pick's got to be the defending Stanley Cup champions in the Washington Capitals. They're just a solid team. They got Braden Holtby backstopping them there. I'm a goaltending biased kind of person.
You like your goalies. Okay, I guess I'll go on to my East picks as well, just while we're on that topic. I got the Leafs as well. Leafs you have to watch out for. I see them as a potential winner of the conference. And then I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they,
I like it.
Everyone always is on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I'm just going to probably ride the wave. But, they haven't lost too much in the last few years. They're still in the core of their production. I think they make the playoffs and excel in the playoffs. Probably threaten the Leafs in a deep run. And then I'm going to go with a sleeper in the East, and it might not be a sleeper, but it might be to most people, actually, if I think about it. I'm going to go with the New York Islanders. I think the loss of Jonathan Tavares and the addition of an incredible general manager, or whatever his role actually is, Lou Lamoriello. The point is, if Lou Lamoriello is in your organization, you have a chance. He's won everywhere he's gone, from New Jersey to Toronto. I think the Islanders, the young guys have to step up, but that's what Lou does best, in my opinion. So I think they squeak into the playoffs at a 7 or an 8 spot and get in there. I'll let you take over for the West.
Yeah, West, they're pretty standard picks. I just don't see a lot of movement. I got Winnipeg up there. Scheifele and Wheeler are just a deadly combo with Hellebuck back there. I see San Jose doing really well. The addition of Erik Karlsson, that's a whole podcast on its own, but he's a top 3 defenseman in the NHL, and then you got him on the power play with Brent Burns. That's a pretty deadly duo. And I like Nashville. You got 4 of the top 15, top 20 defensemen in the league there as well. It's just it's a wild West again. And that Central is packed, but I end up my final for the Cup. I'm gonna go a little Winnipeg versus Toronto, 2 Canadian teams in the final. I'm hoping for it. My fingers are crossed.
I like it. So yeah, I'll go the Winnipeg Jets as well as you, and I will go with the Vegas Golden Knights. I think they come back with a chip on their shoulder again.
Really?
I think they're back. Maybe not Cup final. I'm not picking them for my Cup final. I'm picking them to make a deep run in the West again. What they did last year is absolutely incredible, and I think it kind of put the winning mindset in all those guys' heads, and I think they all want more. They didn't finish the job, and I think they're right there. And then for my Cup final picks, I'm gonna go with San Jose and Boston. I didn't even mention them in my East. I'm gonna go with San Jose and Boston. I think Boston still has 1 tick over the Leafs. That's who I picked for the Eastern Conference Final. Leafs Bruins round 3, or I guess round 3, I believe, for the playoff matchup. And I think the Bruins take it again, and then I think the Bruins win the Cup this year.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, the one narrative I want to see happen, just from a solely selfish perspective, and I feel like a lot of sports fans would love this, is if San Jose and Toronto could end up in the final with Jumbo Joe and then Patrick Marleau facing off against
that would be great.
2 other teams. That's something that only happens in sports, and you can't write that stuff, but it's something that would be pretty damn cool for both of those guys who have worked so hard their entire careers, and could be a good opportunity. It'd be heartbreaking for one, but it would be a pretty special moment for the other.
Yeah, I agree. 2 guys itching for a moment like that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you take it away.
I think we're well past the time we expected, but I hope everyone, all the listeners here, have enjoyed our first episode of the DJ Sports Podcast. Yeah, Justin, what are your thoughts?
I was just gonna say thanks for bearing with us. It's a learning curve for us too, but we enjoy doing it, or we have so far. So I hope you listen to the next one and future episodes to come. Appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone take care. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.